guys, it's Kelly. I'm back with another process video. This layout is for SpiegelMom Scraps. I am their guest designer for the month of October. I have taken a font and I'm going to go back through and link it in the details section below of which font I chose. And I just welded it together in my Silhouette software, and I am going to fill in that letter I with some sequins. I'm also going to do a little mixed media on the background, so I'm going to first prepare my page, and I end up, because I stored it upside down, too much of the gesso came out. So off camera I will spread it on another sheet of white cardstock. I just cut that out because you don't need to see me spreading it out on two different pages. So I tried to tape the cardstock down you know, it's like it's not cardboard, it's not chipboard, it's a little thinner. But anyway, just to see if that would help with the warping, and it didn't really make a difference, so I think I'll leave that step out. I just thought I would try something different to see. So I'm using Paige Evans' new Turn the Page collection, and I'm pulling out all the blues and the grays and anything that looks a little bit more masculine, and I'm trying to figure out which papers I want to use to help spell out each letter. And I did not get the 6x6 pad for this collection. I'm not sure why. It might have been out of stock when I ordered it. Usually I do get the 6x6 paper pads, so that's what I would normally use for my letters instead of cutting into full 12x12 sheets, but that's all right. I'd rather use my supplies than, you know, hoard them and wait until I have the perfect layout. So I don't make you watch me fussy cutting all of the letters. I'm just showing you one letter that I do, and when I trace the line, I cut just outside of the line so that I have a little bit more of the paper that I can glue glue to the back of the cut file. So I am just going to use my Scotch tacky adhesive in my fine line bottle, and I've had a bunch of questions about that. I always recommend to get the yellow tip. The yellow tip has a smaller number, it's an 18 gauge, but that means it has a bigger hole. So if you are looking for one, you can find them at Hobby Lobby and on Amazon. So I am going to take some of my Shimmers watercolors. I will link the colors below. I thought I held them up to the camera, but I must have forgotten. And I'm not sure the two colors, but as I said, I'll link them below so that you can see the colors that I used if you want to see them. And I'm just going to put a little mixed media on the background. This, I did not have a mist that was quite the color that was in the collection, so I ended up with this. You can use the watercolor, you can use mist, you could thin down acrylic paint if you wanted to do that for a splash of color. You could use you know, lots of different things to jazz up the back of your page, the background of your page. So I am just going to rinse off my brush, and I'm going to clean off the packaging that I have used that mint green on, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some gray to it as well. I do find that when you are mixing colors on a background that you want your first color to be somewhat dry, or at least not completely soaking wet, unless you want the colors to blend. And some colors look great blended, some do not. This was pretty dry, believe it or not. This is sped up, so you know, the drying time wasn't really needed, and that way you can see a little bit of the gray in the background as opposed to that gray and that mint green blending together. So I just took one of my spray mist from Shimmers and added some more mist droplets in the background. I wanted the background to be pretty messy, and I thought that the cut file would look good over top of it. So I'm just bringing back my cut file to make sure that you can see a lot of the mixed media. It's not a good thing to do all that work and cover up all of the pretty color, but that was just enough showing for me. So this is, I just set aside the background to dry, and I knew that I would just go ahead and use, you know, your creative time wisely. I'm sure that there's many of you like me that are a little bit crunched for time. So if you can plan ahead and think about it in those terms, it really helps, you know, when you're making your pages to, you know, figure out if there's something that you can do while you're waiting for it to dry. You can put a heat gun to the background as well, but I find that it does warp the cardstock a little bit more than normal. So I'm not going to make you watch me put all of the sequins down, but what I just did is I put double-sided adhesive on that eye, and I just poured out some of the sequins. I believe this is Be True to You, and I pulled out colors that looked good with the patterns that I chose. I am going to put a few of the yellowish gold color on the eye as well. And I just keep putting the sequins down until most of the entire thing is covered. And I just, you know, I was trying to figure out the best way to do it, and it was so easy. It didn't really matter. You just picked up the sequin and you smushed it down, and the tape held it. And, you know, I've had this layout done for, you know, just over a week, and none of the sequins have moved. They still seem very strong. They don't seem like they're going to budge anywhere. So if you are looking for a way to adhere your sequins, like that's an idea. So the last thing I'm going to do on my background is put a little bit of the pasties. This is Salt of the Earth, and it's a beautiful white, and I'm just using it through this Tim Holtz stencil for just a little bit more visual interest and contrast. And once again, I have set it aside to dry. So I know that I want to back my photo, and I have pulled out that yellow cardstock and this, not cardstock, the yellow pattern paper, and this really pretty random color and line paper. And I was just trying to figure out which colors I wanted to peek out from behind the photo. And I'm going to trim it down a little bit and then back the photo again in that yellow. And I wanted that pop of yellow, and I was looking to see which flowers I was going to be cutting out, because I wanted to cut out my least favorite. You know how much I love to fussy cut flowers, and they're all beautiful, but I wanted to try to keep the ones that I knew I would definitely use. I wanted to try to keep as many of those intact as possible. So I had pulled these letters from Pink Fresh Studio, and they were clearly too big. So I do have the sticker book from Turn the Page, and I decided that I would use these small tiles, and I'm going to spell out class schedule and just put that underneath the word senior so that I can, you know, have that complete title. These stickers are gorgeous. They are clear, but they're not completely translucent, so you don't lose that deep blue color, and it's beautiful, and it has some rose gold and lettering, and it's just they are just beautiful to work with. You know, what more can I say? Paige really did a great job designing this collection. So this is pretty much how my layout is going to look. I had fussy cut out a couple of these stars, and in a little while I'm going to pull out that big star paper and fussy cut a few more. I had fussy cut these for a different project, and whenever I do that and I don't use it, I always keep it with my supplies, because a lot of times I will be able to figure out how to use it on another page. So I wanted to see if I could get that clear sticker to work. It said something about new adventures, but I felt like it was just a little bit too big for the space. The book that says Turn the Page I thought was perfect for this layout. It's you know, a new year. It's his, you know, final year in high school, and I just thought that that worked well, you know, for this. And I love to have accents and embellishments that really help to tell my story, and that book really does. So stars are a big part of this collection, and I wanted to try to use several on this page. I took that yellow chipboard star and I have layered it on top of that green star. That rose gold star makes the perfect little center for that O, and it helps to complete somewhat of a visual triangle around the page with the one star peeking out from behind the book, and it just goes around the page like that. Whenever I'm doing something like that, I want to make sure that the photo is in the line of the triangle, so that when you're looking at the embellishments, your eye always goes on to the photo. Because for me, my photo is important with the story. And for this type of layout, you really don't have to do a lot of journaling because the photo really tells it all. You know, it tells exactly what I wanted. Here's his senior class schedule. And, you know, sometimes these layouts are fun to make, especially if you are like me and sometimes struggle with what to say for your journaling. This just has everything included. So I wanted to see if I could bring in another pattern paper behind the photo cluster just to help bring in some more of those colors, and use that Change is Good die cut, but I felt like it was just too much and it was a little too busy. So I'm going to, this is when I go and pull out the paper and I'm going to find another star. I didn't want to cover up that really pretty die cut and lose the effect of that, because I felt like I could use that die cut for something else. I don't mind using a die cut to, you know, get it on my page. I'd rather use it than, you know, not use it. But when I have a piece of paper that has the same stars and I can use it without covering up a phrase that I feel is pretty versatile, I'd rather do the pattern paper, because I feel like that gets me more bang for my buck when it comes to making a collection go as far as you can. So as I'm looking at the star and that piece of pattern paper, I'm not really digging it. I am going to, at some point, pull that little pattern paper strip off. I'm not sure if I do that on camera, or maybe I just lower the star a little bit so not quite as much is showing. So I am going to gut this paper. This the flip side of this is that beautiful dark green, and I like that because it helps to ground the page and it frames it and just brings in more of that green that's in that Turn the Page book. So I am going to gut it, and I have found, I use a Caterpillar trimmer and it's a rotary blade, so I really can't gut things easily. So using my craft knife is definitely an easy way to help gut it. And if I lightly draw pencil lines, I find that most of the time I can cut fairly straight. It doesn't have to be exactly straight, but I like it to be fairly straight since it's a piece of paper that I will be using. So for me, whenever I'm doing this, I always struggle because I am a little bit OCD and I love to have the sides to be equal or as close to equal as I can get. So that's going to be it for me on camera. Off camera, I do stitch around the edges of the white cardstock with a dark gray thread, and I feel like it just helps to pull the layout together and further frame it. So thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to link the shop below, so be sure and check out SpiegelMom Scraps. The sequins that I used are sold out. You guys, she sells out these sequins so quickly. So if you see something that you like, you need to get them right away, because, you know, I've waited a couple of weeks and they have been gone. So be sure to check her out, and thank you so much. I will see you soon. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.